inside the mind. Curating reality. Let's dig into how our brain doesn't just see the world, it creates it. Think about this. When you're in a loud room, like a packed bar, you can still pick out one conversation, one voice, even amid the noise. Scientists call this the cocktail party effect, where your brain sorts through the chaos to pick up what matters to you. Boston University researchers found that specific neurons can zero in on these sounds, while everything else fades into the background. It's as if the brain acts as a curator, selecting what makes it into our awareness and what's just static. Nature, frontiers, side thought. Imagine, then, that our view of the world is only a sliver of reality. The brain decides what's real for us to experience. Makes you wonder, our brains filter so much. What are we missing? The quantum brain? A connection beyond the physical? Now, here's where things start to twist. Some neuroscientists and quantum physicists believe that our minds don't just work through endogenous processes, they might actually function on a quantum level. Quantum consciousness is a theory that posits that the brain's activity involves particles acting in multiple states at once. Imagine these particles flickering between dimensions or states, creating thoughts or emotions that ripple out into a wider field of reality. Some scientists suggest that our thoughts and intentions, though invisible, interact with this quantum realm, affecting reality in ways we can't fully see. A recent experiment even proposed that coherence, the idea that quantum particles can sync up across vast distances, could be occurring in our brains. This coherence might be why, on some level, we feel connected to others or sense when someone's thinking about us. Whether or not science has proved it, many believe our thoughts leave a mark, that a kind of universal mind exists, and we're just tapping into it. Frontiers, side thought. This gets you wondering, could it be that with enough intent, our minds can reach beyond what we see? Maybe good vibes aren't just feel-good words. They could be signals that touch the world around us, simulated reality. The brain's power to shape perception. Our brains don't just passively absorb the world, they actively shape it. Researchers studying perception have found that even if we only imagine an object moving, our brain's motion-sensitive areas light up as if the movement were real. So, our brains are equipped to create a version of reality that feels genuine, even if it's based on imagination. Mystical traditions have been saying something similar for centuries. Ancient philosophies like the Hindu concept of Maya suggest reality itself might be an illusion shaped by our minds. Here science and mysticism brush against each other. Side thought? Ever felt like a memory was more of a dream than a fact? Maybe that's because the brain uses the same tools to create both. It makes you wonder, our thoughts can shape reality, then how real is reality? Meta-awareness, the self observing the self. Meta-awareness, also called reflective consciousness, is a phenomenon where we don't just think we're aware of our thinking. Scientists call it higher order processing, and it's as if we have an internal mirror reflecting our thoughts and emotions back at us. This isn't just human. Some animals have shown similar abilities, like elephants recognizing themselves in mirrors. But in humans, this skill is tied to complex decision-making, empathy, and creativity. Ancient spiritual practices often discuss a witness consciousness, a state where you are aware of your own awareness. It's like having a second mind that watcheth the first. Neuroscience news, side thought. Sometimes when you're deep in thought, do you ever feel like a part of you is just watching? Like you're not just the thinker, but also the observer. It's a strange, almost ghostly feeling, but it's also part of what makes us human, the dual self. Who are we, really? Philosophers and neuroscientists have grappled with what it means to be me versus I. William James, one of the earliest psychoanalysts, described two parts of the self: the I, the observer, and the me, the identity we construct. The me is everything we identify with: our history, our personality, our memories. But the I is something less tangible, more elusive. It's the raw awareness, the silent witness. Neuroscientists have discovered that these two selves might correspond to different brain regions, which could explain why we sometimes feel like two separate entities within one mind. Frontiers, side thought. Think about it. If the I is pure awareness, separate from memories and identity, then who are we really? Are we our thoughts, our stories, or are we something else entirely? A universal mind consciousness as a field. Now, let's get radical. Panpsychism, a theory growing in popularity, argues that consciousness isn't isolated to brains, it's a fundamental feature of the universe, like gravity or time. Under panpsychism, consciousness could be present, even if faintly, in everything. A rock, a tree, a galaxy. The brain, in this view, doesn't create consciousness, but taps into it, acting as a kind of antenna. This theory suggests that all of us, people, animals, maybe even plants, are part of one collective mind, each tapping into it in our own way. Side thought. This idea might sound out there, but it's also strangely comforting. Imagine being part of a vast consciousness, where even the tiniest creature has its role, a place in the cosmic scheme. Suddenly, isolation feels like an illusion. Why are we here? So, if consciousness might be universal, what does that mean for our purpose? Science suggests that the brain evolves to learn and adapt, to make sense of the chaos around us. But what if there's more? If we're all connected, then maybe our purpose isn't just about personal success. Maybe it's about contributing to the whole. Each life, in this sense, is like a single note in a vast symphony, and our role is to find our unique sound, our meaning, and contribute it to the larger tune. In this perspective, life isn't about chasing happiness or even truth. It's about living authentically, following curiosity, and expressing what only we can bring to the world. Side thought. If we're part of a larger whole, then maybe purpose isn't some grand plan, but simply being who we are and letting our small part shine. It's a bit humbling, but also liberating. Purpose doesn't have to be complicated, embracing the mystery, the endless questions. In the end, maybe our job isn't to understand everything. Consciousness is a journey without a map, a river without a destination. Neuroscientists, mystics, and everyone in between have tried to answer the question of what it means to be aware, to experience life. But if consciousness is indeed something beyond, maybe the purpose isn't in finding answers, but in living the questions. Our brains, these complex, buzzing networks of neurons and quantum particles, might be tools for exploring existence, not solving it. Final thought. What if we're not here to figure it all out, but just to marvel, to question, and to keep reaching for something greater? In a world of unknowns, maybe the real beauty is in the mystery itself. We're all on this wild journey together, exploring, learning, wondering, and maybe that's enough.